Live right now with Uncle Taki. He is in the building, so I'm going to be crossing over live to Reno out of the studio, and you'll catch me there real quick. We're going to cross over to him right now.
Kia ora, Jack. Hey, thank you for bringing us in here onto your show, Pakihi with Haki, and don't fear, whānau, we still got that $150 voucher. I'll hit the streets very soon, and one lucky winner is going to win that prize, and all they had to do is name the answer of the show that was hugely popular as well back in the rā. We caught one of the co-hosts earlier on, Waikihema, joining me in studio. The other co-host was Ken Knight. He'll be with me between 8 and 10. But this week is all about celebrating Ngāiwi FM 35 years. 35 years, who would have thought? And you know what, it goes back to 1990, and we had Ropata Ainsley, Rotahiko Ainsley on with us, and he reflected on some of the names from back in the day, and he's grown through the irirangi here at Ngāiwi FM into his te ao Māori world of learning the language, meeting his lovely wife, and just loving the life that he lives. You know, when you think of a young boy from Waihi back in the day, young man, was into Waka Ama, then came into Ngāiwi FM. Another young man who comes into us is, Jack mentioned in the intro there, Taki Peke. Kia ora, my bro.
Hey, Rocket.
Yeah, there we go. He knew he was going to call me that name. Well, Taki T, ngā mihi e hoa?
Ngā mihi kia koe o tira. Ngā mihi ki ngā ki te hunga ngā ringa raupa o te reo rangi o Pariauraki o tira ko Ngāiwi FM. It's always a privilege and an honour to come back into the space, and instantly a lot of memories come flooding back in. So of those times, because people like say, how long were you in Ngāiwi? I says, officially not that long. Unofficially, I've never left.
No, you're right, bro. Unofficially, you never left. You know, we've always been alongside each other from our early years. We've known each other through when we were young kids, not through radio, obviously, is growing up with our whānau and everything like that. And that's the key part, the name, Ngāiwi FM. It's the people station. Even though we hashed the tag in there now, before then, the voice of Hauraki, ko te reo o Hauraki kua tauke. But that's what we are about. It's the relationships that we've built, that whanaungatanga is strong.
Oh, mate. Because, like, you know, when you think about, like, for me, I think I was 17.
Yeah.
And now I won't divulge my age, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And, 35 years. 35 years, and thinking about from those times, because for us, when you think about rangatahi, we were the rangatahi of that time. And even this old man over here interviewing me, we were young at those times, and when you think about, I've always thought about Ngāiwi as, wow, you give young men toys to play with, and to be able to express and amplify our creativity. We didn't do it as like, mate, as like, I remember we used to jump on air and mimic other stations, but at 1% of the cost.
But reflective, and I know, and I can understand that a lot of people can see Jack's joined us as well from in the studio, but what you can also see is this lovely tonga here. Tell us about this, my bro, and ngā mihi to you and your whānau for bringing this back into our irirangi, because the person who wore this beautiful kakahu, bro, will mean so much to the radio station. Without his vision and a few others, we wouldn't be here 35 years later, bro. But run me a bit of history on this, please.
As we all know that Ngāiwi, and with the areas of the radio station, branding and marketing is very important, because that's what you do. Because you're a branding vessel. And so for Ngāiwi, at the time, this was the first branding of the station, and so these were the first kakahu, for all the broadcasters. And of course, my dad being on the trustees, as a trustee for the station, all the trustees got one as well. And so there wasn't many that were made, because the station was only, very humble days, Ngāiwi in those days. So, and around that time, people would recognise this jacket, because my dad, he wore it often.
Yeah.
And a number of other the trustees, even yourself, and you probably, the problem is that because they're brands and there's something significant to Pari Hauraki, a lot of the times they grew new owners. Mm-hmm. But this one ended up in the wardrobe, and then after my dad died and passed away, she went through his clothes, and it ended up at with one of the local shops down here. So ngā mihi ati kia koe Darby. So Darby Tuhaka ended up there because, you know, having his shop and having his museum here in Pairo, it was a bit of a heritage. Well, he kind of felt uncomfortable having that there, and so he hit me up, and I think we were broadcasting at one of the Hauraki festivals in Te Aroha, and then turned up, he goes, so I chucked it on, and he gave it to me, and then when I had it, I was going, yeah, it's not something that I would wear often, and I was worried about that my kids would wear it often, because it's back in trend. You know, they would, and I don't think it ever went out of trend, but I worried about that, so I thought I'd get it framed. And then I was going, oh well, no better place for this to sit than here at Ngā Iwi FM. That was the other reason why I wanted to get it framed, because it would have sat in my wardrobe. It would have been the whakawhananga atu to the old closet moths and that you have, and then probably thrown away. So this way we're able to hold it here as a bit of a you know, an eye opener and a discussional point here in Ngā Iwi.
I like what you said, and yeah, there's bring memories there. You know, that's the original signage that we always had at the front of the radio station. That was the original stickers, and I was telling you, Ropata Ainsley just before, I still see the original sticker around on a guy called Bill Wells' Toyota Cressida,
Bill
you know,
Wells.
the one Country and Western show. I knew that would strike a memory for you. But I tell you what, I don't know if you remember, Taki, but we had a O'Meara clothing company that did screen printing in Pairo.
Yep.
I found something with the cob in the mothballs, bro. This is my old original top. Hold on, I'll put the microphone down. So you'll see the frequencies here. So there it is here.
99.4.
Yep.
Yeah. And then take a look at that.
It looks just like you. Yeah.
Wow. Yep, I remember the O'Meara printing studios.
Yeah.
Actually, they were quite revolutionary at the time as well.
They very much were. You know, they were a farming family from memory, decided to get in the screen printing, and what did we do? Yeah, Hikutai, that's them. And we decided, you know, as kaimahi of the station on the doll, we went down and got our own personalised little hoodies and t-shirts. Yeah, I haven't grown that much bigger. No, it doesn't fit me. Might fit my little book, but not me. But yeah, that's just one. Look, I was into a bit of surfing back then. I was known as, because being a small fella, surfy rat and everything, and when I saw that little logo come up, so I decided to get that done. And as Taki said in the intro, everyone knew me.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we all had our little nicknames on the radio. Marcus Tokiri, who he spoke with yesterday, MT Talk. MT Talk. And he knows this was Taki
Peter
T.
Pornicki.
Yeah, or Peter me. Yeah, you know, and we always had this board because we always had to have records, 45s, 33s, 78s, CDs, cassette tapes, and we used to put them in our order. You remember that board at the front of our console? It had all the autographs of everyone that came into the radio station.
And then after the board got upgraded, we had it hanging in the old studio, and so that became, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know where they ever got to.
No, and that was also the reason why I framed it up nicely, because then people know, oh well, there's value in it, and that would have been awesome, something to as a memorabilia, because some of those signatures that were on there as well. A big thing I remember though, man, was all the stickers. You know, so you know, as you come into the studios, and then along the walls were all stickers of every other radio station, whether it was Iwi radio station, Pākehā radio, that would come in, would get people bring their branding in.
Yeah, definitely. That wall is still over there. You know, it's got the original My FM sticker with the lips, Cadbury Mora FM before they became Coromandel FM, and all the original stuff. Kiwi FM, the 1ZHs, everything we were associated with. YFM, our frequency went from 99.4 and we changed to 99.5, then 6, because they bought 99.3, but it's got the original 1970s Nambassa sticker. You know, that's because we had a guy who was associated with that event, Colin Broadley. You want to share some of those members of Colin Broadley? Colin
Broadley, it's in Ngā Iwi. He's a Catalyst member. You know, and no disrespect, Pākehā is, you know, Pākehā eccentric as anything. You know, so he travelled in his own time, in his own way, And a lot of those times you think about Colin Broadley and what he's done for the industry and what he's done for Ngāiwi FM, and even personally, Colin Broadley, he's not everybody's cup of tea, and this is 35 years ago. And some of the things, but he gave us the knowledge of what to do, around soft starts, medium starts, hard start, hard ending, introing, how to overtalk intros, how to drop promos, how to drop a number of different things that we used to do, and then also catchphrases and Wicked on Radio. And so Colin Broadley, and if these didn't know, was quite famous, for his for film and acting. Of the time, and also being an activist, but those also came with him. But him and my dad were really close, and a lot of those things was to do with Goldfields FM. That was here in Pairo, and he was also a part to do with that. Peter Williams, and then they would just talk for days and hours, and about all these dreams. One of the dreams I think they thought of, where to establish the station was one of those, and there was like looking at a number of the different islands throughout Tikapa, having the radio station on Great Barrier, or having it on Rangitoto, having it on Waiheke, or having it on a remote island. And so then he goes, how would everyone? We'll get a helicopter and
I remember that.
Yeah, but my mum would really think, because when I'm talking about these times, I'm in my early teens. I'm aged between 10 and 14, and so the only thing I remember is that another cup of tea I have to make them.
Now we got some good memories, you and I, from way back, like you said, in the 90s, and we had fun times. We've had so many growth throughout the our own iwi station. We've seen so many people grow.
Always had funniest times, like, because when you think about Ngāiwi, it was some of my most memorable times of my life is when we were broke asses. We were in debt. I'm not scared to say, we were in debt, a lot of money, and even to see Reno here today, even Robbie, some of the other people that you've brought in, we worked. This might be off. We actually, because usually the person who pays you is your employer. So we were paid by Bernie's, having a Bernie. We'd have lunch once a week, and that was a koha back that they gave to us, and we all appreciated it. But when you didn't get any money, I thought we were quite creative. Everyone was tight-knit. We would come off air, and we'd probably still be mucking around to the other person's show. Sometimes the only one who's probably left is Reno, because he did the 4 o'clock get up and 6 o'clock every morning, So he did that for so long. But basically, it was a second home, especially for his, quite a few young ones. So if you think about that, like, I'm 17, 18, heading into my early 20s, and at that time was a pinnacle time, and a number of us that were young people could have been easily steered down another path. Because that's the kind of era of the time. But when we got into Ngāiwi, wow, we got all these toys, we got all these things. Meeting people. Even my kids today say that, I've met them. I've met them. They look at you, and that's some of the influence that Ngāiwi had on me personally. Because to be able to talk to, also think of the time, there wasn't a New Zealand artist that we didn't interview.
Right.
And things like that. And so those were awesome times.
And I'm still buzzed out that you guys got Nesian Mystic.
They headlined us at one of our events, like Taki said, Community Day Out was a way for us to give back to organisations like Kohanga Reo, get them up and going and establish into a new world of technology. So we used to do these concerts, and all the money from that would go back to organisations like them. Rotary part of the establishment of what we now know is the Hauraki Rail Trail. That is the significance of Ngāiwi FM on the back of the riverbank behind us currently. But like Taki said, we did all these different events. We spoke to so many musicians. That was back in the era we did things the very, very first time.
Wow.
Like you saw Nesian Mystic, we were the first station to ever interview them, ever. We were part of so many other big events out of Hauraki as well. So there's that significance mountain rock stuff, and we went down to
Mountain
Woodford
Rock,
there.
Strawberry Fields.
Yeah, Strawberry Fields. I remember all that stuff. We needed money to get us a Kai, so we used to get his brother-in-law, Axeman, out, play guitar, sing on the car, the radio station car.
wow.
We used to pretend to sing that we knew what we were singing. We didn't. He was just cool on the guitar. And people would throw all their money into our cap. That was enough to go buy us fish and chips, hot dogs. Down to McDonald's later on. We stuffed the car up. We actually went through the drive-through pretending that we were driving. We were Haurangiers, bro. But, those are the fun times. Those were the fun times.
Yeah, I think too, when you talk about Axe, Anaru,
Yeah.
Anaru Fraser, he was known as the Axe, and awesome on the guitar, and that's why he got the X-Man. But, those times we used to run, I think him and I did a party show.
Yeah, that's right.
Party show. So when we talk about the party show, we would zoom into parties and then interact with different parties from around Pariauraki. And these guys are Haurangi to Paurangi and all those areas. But I remember sitting there and getting calls from Wellington, because at that night they had what we call the predecessor of the internet for Radio A, being Starnet. And then we had a direct connection across all different iwi networks. So what that did was also increase the capacity for each little station. We're only a little community here in Pairo, and at that time we were the fish at Tikapa got a beautiful signal. But not necessarily. So it's been good to see that. So for a little station to be able to have other irirangi joining in, and vice versa, that we would end up being in parties in Ngārawa Wāhia, being in parties next when we were in one in Wellington, down the main street in Wellington, because Upoko Te Ika is joined in, or Te Reo Irirangi or Tainui is joined in. The only ones who didn't was My FM, because they too cool. But then again, that's also when you think about My FM, not to change the subject, but they moved our industry forward because they became a marketing genius, and that we also were able. So remember the time we used to also do support their journalists, so that they're on air. They had an on-air broadcasting school, and so they used to come down and spend the weekends with Ngā Iwi as well.
So these are some of these integral parts that a lot of our listeners and viewers who are watching this right now and don't realise the major role we had in with some of these stations. Is a little station, you've got to remember, we're just a little station living off the smell of a noli rag, which we hear at the Hauraki Festival these days, and we did it for the love and the passion. We're on the benefit, and we were an integral part of some of these other stations. That's why we got invited to the 10th birthday of My FM, because I remember all of this stuff. We went and helped out Aotearoa Radio at night times. We used to travel up there. And all these other stations, and like you mentioned, John Andrews was the man we used to ring down in Wellington to connect us up with the Starlink, or StarNet back then. It was just a push button box thing, and we used to broadcast the international rugby games from across the Pairo domain.
We had this all this flash equipment to be able to broadcast. So we even did sports.
We did sports. We did the Tongan international game against Fiji. So we sent it all back to the Pacific Island. There it is.
See a cord like this?
Yep.
That went from the station across the road to the grandstand. So it was like about 100 metres long or 200 metres long cord, and connected to a mic, and then they would pass it back and forwards. But it wasn't about the technology or not having all the. You were only limited by how creative we were.
Yeah, definitely. When you take a look at this and look at what we're doing 35 years later, we're still talking through the same type of technology we used, and we brought international rugby to the world through StarNet. And I still remember that bloody truck that drove through really high airs and ripped our cord and took it away. We're talking away there, but it ripped it and teared it in half. It was all over the road. That was the end of our commentary back to Tonga, but that's just one of the things we learnt.
Every time I hear stories, it just brings me to, it's like Wild West of radio, it sounds like. How you guys used to get
Well, Colin Broadley was like a Wild West, because that dude would, like Taki said, he was eccentric in many ways. And I won't get into the details because it's on the radio.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. You sit there like this, and I'll leave you to the imagination what you would see and all that type of stuff. But there was he brought stuff like Bully for You show, like Taki said, the weather. We met Derek Lowe at Access, and we went around, travelled around the radio stations, and Yeah, we learned so much. You know, Kirk Page, Ted Anderson, even people who were associated with, well, back then it might have been Koha Show and
Oh, yeah, yep,
all
yep.
that type of stuff. That in the Māori world, because we were just getting introduced, Taki was our saviour. Child's eyes, as Rob mentioned, we needed to put some te reo part into
the te reo
that's where Taki come into with that particular waiata, because we never had a lot of real waiata back then, nothing at all.
No, because like if we go back to the early 90s, 91 to say about 93, the only Māori waiata that we really had, other than the old anthems that you used to buy on tapes from, you know, you get the Māori choir.
Yeah, choir stuff,
You know,
yeah.
stuff that for tourists, we had Moana and the Moa Hunters.
Yes.
And that was basically it. And then of course, you know, then we got other groups started to come through, but basically was hardly any.
No, we hardly had nothing, you know. If I think of someone like the Winnie Tanawhānau from Tūwhare Toa, Ahorangi Genesis, who we
Yeah.
brought through to perform as well, just trying to rattle through, like you said, a key part of that was Moana and the Moa Hunters.
Yeah, I think that's how I ended up on Ngā Iwi through that Ahorangi Genesis, because they came in and I think they go, hey, can you MC? And I MC'd it. And then go, oh, you might as well jump on the station now.
You know what I love about that is every story I've heard about people that join Ngāiwi, it was never the normal way how you get a job. It's just someone, like, yep, you're good, you should come work for us. Because that's how it started with me.
People walked them through the door.
Yeah.
You went out the door
Yeah.
and got them, because they never had a skill. You never had a broadcasting tohu or something as such back then in the 90s. You know, you just, if you had a voice and you had a passion and you come, you know what I'm like, throw you in the deep end, let's just bloody do it. And that's the way it is.
Because they asked me, they said, how does he teach? I said, he'll let you sink and then he'll help you swim.
But that's the way,
Yeah.
you know, like it's alluded to, we're hands-on with tutu, and that's the
Yeah.
best way to learn. You can't break it, really, you know, we just fix it and
The
get
other
it
one
going.
is that we're Māori.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
we're Māori. Things that we're really attracted to is music.
Yep.
And of course,
And watching-
sitting on our ass watching TV.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, watching movies, watching shows, and so those are the foundational basics that you need for radio, because you understand what cueing is, you understand what timing is,
Yeah.
you understand what feel is,
Yeah.
because your job is to create the feel from one song to the other. Don't ask me, if you asked me 30 years ago what that was, I didn't. So lucky
Yeah.
being able to utilise the skills that through Ngā Iwi FM that I even use in what I do today.
Right, so the other part of that is we had to paint that picture, but now in today's technology, as we can see you're watching us live, that picture's already painted.
You know how you guys saying that. Ngāiwi is a pretty small station. I have, that's the only thing through this quarter I have to disagree with. Everywhere I've gone, to every club, I've even down in Tamatini, down in New Plymouth, everyone that I've talked to and that asked where I work, they all know Ngāiwi FM. And then I get the same question, is Reno still there? Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been there? Yeah, he's still there. I met Miss Keegan, she goes, does he still wear his yellow jackets? Oh.
Still got them.
The story she told me about Reno Whanau,
Yeah. Oh no! Even with Rockin, because he's been a solid figure in the
Yep.
station, so you always have that history,
Yep.
of yesteryear. Then being able to take that history, because I'm sorry, just to change, it's always changed. An image comes into my mind. At the time, probably the number one radio station that was running was a commercial station called The Breeze.
That's right.
Yeah, The Breeze. And so I remember one time they shot this ad about The Breeze, so that we're not, and then it come up to a shot with these fellas playing the guitar, and then we were going, that's us, because they would say we're not this, you know, with how professional they were. And so because like I remember grabbing the guitar and singing with Tahu FM, which we with Starlink,
Wow, yeah.
or Starlink, we were able to join shows, so we didn't just have one audience, so we would connect with them and I'll do a show with them on a day. Next one, he's got a sax, I've got a guitar, and we're just playing. And so even though they were taking the mickey out of Māori radio, and in particular us, that's where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
We didn't, because we always knew that if you want to listen to a commercial flash radio, then tune to that.
Yeah.
If you want to hear Māoris cracking up on the air, understanding our way of thinking and our way of doing, we didn't want to do that. Because they got a couple more zeros in their bank account.
Yeah, they got a bit more money than us, you know, but that's how we did it. And I always used to look at that, and it was never a scare thing for me. I said, right, I want to be better than you, I'm going to challenge you. That's just the attitude I had. because I was brought up like that, and we went through it. We went through the whole thing. We gave it a go. We did our best, and we
And
really
I thought our best was pretty good.
Oh, it was really good. You know, people talked about us, like you said, Jack. You met so many, and it's just the way we embedded our name, not only here in Hauraki, but around the motu.
Oh,
You know, and the biggest part too, and Taki remember this, is we used to do our Tainui cluster, Ngā Reo Irangi o Tainui before then, the original Tainui cluster where
Who
we
was
first
the original
started.
cluster?
It's us.
Yeah.
And we used to connect to our iwi stations, do a particular show. Taki used to host that as well, and we connect to Tainui Radio Manepoto back then, Radio Tainui, and Raukawa FM back then as well. So yeah, way back in the 90s we were doing all that kind of
I
stuff.
wasn't
And
even a good in my old man's eye.
hey, you know what I said about that, and yeah, but yeah, you know, we did all that stuff. We've been there, done that stuff, and it's like Taki said, it's good to see it, and we still talk about it 35 years. What I like about us talking about this is we still share it from within the Ngākau and the passion that we have.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely times, and we used to have, you know, running shows at the time. You know, Reno ran the breakfast show.
Yeah.
And then usually I came in from 10 till 2. And then our drive time show is usually Marcus or Empty Talk.
Yeah.
And then we had our specialist shows after 6. And of course, you know, Bill Wells, you know, is that fella still alive?
He's still alive.
Wow,
Yeah.
Bill, good man.
He still wears his Naiwi
Yeah.
beanie. He still has that original sticker on the car. He still talks highly of. At the age of 90s, and he's about 95, I think now.
Yeah.
He still remembers everything from the fundraising gigs, the whole lot.
He carpeted our buddy.
There you go.
You know, that's that was him and his wife.
Yeah,
and his wife,
Yvonne,
and
yeah.
how passionate they were. And they, and honestly, when you think about the word chalk and cheese, they were chalk and cheese when it came to Ngā Iwi. But that's only in the outside view. But inside the view as a whānau, they were part of our whānau. They were part of that thumbprint that we had, all of us had. So you've got us that's in our early teens to early 20s, and then you've got Bill and his wife that were kaumātua.
Yeah.
And of course the genre of music we couldn't stand.
Yeah, you know, they brought the Fisher family from Thames. They just played. They did so much to get the station to where it was, because a lot of people supported us in that regards, because we were in a difficult situation that Taki alluded to earlier on, but we did it and just drove with it. It was just that big, massive passion that we had, and these people jumped in from, like he said, you know, country and western world, cowboy music playing for us, and did this fundraiser for us. And
But I would say this, even though it wasn't then, you know, that genre of music, country and western, because for us it's reggae.
Yeah.
You know, at that time, and it still was reggae. Hip hop was just coming into the scene. But one thing I do remember though, and I'll probably put this back to Bill Wells for this, because I'll hit a party. I'd go to a party and then I'd get on the guitar, and I knew all these country and western songs, because a lot of our kaumātua, a lot of my aunties and uncles, that's their music. And so, oh geez, and listening to some of his shows, I learned quite a bit of country and western.
I think we'll leave it on that note, because we've got other footage we've got to do with Taki, and you can watch a lot of this over on Ngāiwi FM a bit later on. Don't forget we're launching our brand new website this Friday, ngaiwifm.co.nz, so be part of that. Eh?
My photo will be
Your
up
photo will be up there in the whereabouts, bro.
there. Ooh, my OnlyFans link will be there.
Of course it will be. But Taki, ngā mihi to you, my bro. Thank you for coming in to share in this kōrero as we celebrate 35 years online, on air, and we've got a documentary coming out here as well. So look forward to it. Cheer, kia ora, my bro.
Ngā mihi.